Stand in the center of New Delhi today, and you are immediately met by a sheer wall of humanity. This chart helps put that scale into perspective. New Delhi holds over 30 million residents, and Kolkata packs in another 22.5 million. When you see these streets overflowing with traffic, it is easy to assume that India's total population is currently exploding. The data tells a different story. India's yearly growth rate peaked in 1980 at 2.37% and has steadily fallen to 0.87% today. This creates a demographic paradox. If national growth is dropping, why is this second line, representing the urban population, climbing so consistently? The explanation is that India is actively concentrating. Rather than growing rapidly across the map, the population is pulling inward into increasingly dense hubs. To understand this pull, we have to look back to the 1960s, when India was a country defined by its rural, agrarian landscape. In 1960, the urban population was only 18.5%. At that time, the average woman had roughly 6 children over her lifetime. This data marks the demographic transition, a long-term shift towards smaller families and longer lifespans. By the 2020s, the fertility rate dropped to 1.93 children per woman, and the median age climbed to 29.2 years. Smaller, older families have different spatial requirements. They often move away from sprawling farmland to find specialized work and services in concentrated city centers. As the population matured, millions began leaving the rural expanse for the economic density of the metropolis. We can visualize this movement through population density, the measure of how many people live within a single square kilometer. In 1960, India's density was 147 people per square kilometer. Today, that number has climbed to nearly 500. Historical images show the physical result of this change. Older urban streets were designed for a much lower volume of foot traffic and animal-drawn carriages. Modern transit centers, by contrast, must now be engineered to process the weight of hundreds of millions of daily commuters. To house this influx, cities are forced to stack residents vertically. Modern high-rises now dwarf the older mid-rise structures that once defined the skyline. Currently, 37.6% of the country, representing over 555 million people, is classified as urban. While the countryside remains populated, it is the megacity that has become the demographic magnet, absorbing the bulk of the country's internal migration. Extending the current demographic trends out to the year 2050 provides a glimpse into the likely outcome of this multi-generational shift. By 2050, India's overall growth is projected to drop to a near flat line of 0.28%, as fertility rates fall to 1.76. Yet even as national growth slows, the urban population is expected to cross the 50% threshold for the first time. This means nearly 876 million people will be living within India's city limits. This shift suggests that India's future will be defined less by the total count of its people and more by the logistics of integrating nearly 900 million of them into its urban systems.